But I saw this good video, Season 1 Champ tier list. A bit of nostalgia.
15 years ago, League of Legends was unleashed into the world. Unfortunately, time travel hasn't been invented yet, so I can't go back to stop myself from installing it, but I can show you what it used to look like. Because, believe it or not, it didn't always look like this. Let's go back to Season 1. Yorick actually only has one ability, it just kind of comes in 3 different colours. He has Spawn a Ghoul in blue, Spawn a Ghoul in green, and Spawn a Ghoul in orange. His ult is also a revive. Probably
Garbage design, absolute one of the worst designs ever. Each of his spells, besides his W and E, costed like 100 mana each, bro. I remember this character. His E and W costed like 100 mana each. It was so ass.
Champions to play against. F tier. Karma used to be different. She was the only champion in Season 1 to have an ultimate that wasn't really a traditional ultimate. Instead of it being one big ability, it just buffed her other abilities, and her W was also one of the most weird convoluted abilities in the game, even by today's standards.
Second is Spirit Bond. Spirit Bond tethers an ally or enemy to Karma. Karma gains movement speed while the target gains or loses movement speed if it's an ally or enemy respectively.
Oh, that's just EO from Dota.
Gain or lose movement speed. Enemies who pass through the tether also take
It's peace.
Trying to convince your teammates to run through this ability to get buffed was almost impossible, but it was still kinda cool. C tier. Sonar. Basically the exact same champion. D tier. Bowser's favourite champion used to look like this. He got one of the first ever full reworks in League of Legends, and it's arguably the best one that they ever made. His old Q was a point and click stun that lasted for 2 seconds and scaled with 100% AP. His W was still a shield, but it scaled with 200% AP. Absolutely disgusting. S tier. Warwick was one of the original 16 champions released with League. His kit was more simplified, and his ult was the same except it was a point and click blink rather than a skill shot. C tier. Katarina. A tier. Interestingly enough, Trundle's abilities past 14 years. His appearance, however, has not. D tier. Gangplank's passive used to be called Grog-Soaked Blade, and instead of placing barrels, his E was this.
Raise Morale passively gives Gangplank increased attack damage and movement speed. When activated, Gangplank gains an even larger bonus to these stats, and grants a smaller bonus to nearby allied champions as well.
His ultimate also landed in random places rather than being evenly spread out in a circle. Riot decided they don't want to condone hitting people with an alcohol knife, so they changed the name of his passive to Trial by Fire.
God, Gangplank has to be one of the best reworks ever. They made Gangplank from like most boring RNG fucking cringe character in the game that felt so bad to play, to like basically one of the top 5 most unique champs in the game.
Making him a little bit more family friendly. But I'm not right, so this gets an A tier. I'm just gonna let Freak explain his kit because this is one of the weirder ones.
First is Acid Hunter.
God, who designed this? Like, Jelly, who designed this and was like, yeah, this is it's not scary, it's not cool, it's nothing. He looks like Glob Gab Galab. Like he looks like this thing, man. Glob Gab Galab. Like he looks like this, bro. This is old Urgot, basically. Glob Gab Galab if he fucking went L9 mode. Lily 1-1. Like, who designed this shit and said, yeah, this is a character people would wanna play in the game? Like, I don't get it. It's not scary. How did this ever get greenlit? Like, the kit is fine, but the way it looks, why?
Because this is one of the weird.
What was this based on? It looks like a puddle of flesh.
Ones.
First is Acid Hunter. He fires a simple physical damage missile to the target location and applies his passive. Terror Capacitor is second. Urgot places a shield on himself, which absorbs damage. Until it breaks or times out, his basic attacks and his Acid Hunter slow the targets he hits. While the slow is short, it can stack upon itself. Third, Urgot may cast Noxian Corrosive Charge. This is an area of effect nuke which deals damage over time, lowers armor, and most importantly allows Acid Hunter to lock onto the target. Now, if you cast Acid Hunter with your cursor over the target, it will always hit. Urgot's ultimate is the Hyperkinetic Position Reverser. He stuns his target and channels for a second, swapping positions with the target and slowing him, while Urgot briefly gains armor and magic resist.
Besides his ult and his kit feeling generally pretty clunky, he was actually one of the highest damage champions in the game. Plus, his E and Q combo had some of the longest range in the game. His ult was useful in lane for swapping someone under your tower, and that's pretty much
That's insane, by the way.
In the game.
A Heimerdinger turret?
His ult was useful in
A Heimerdinger turret back in Season 1 costed 135 mana. A Heimerdinger turret costed 135 mana to place. What the fuck was this game back then, man?
lane for swapping someone under your
Imagine Heimer, 100 plus mana for placing a turret. How much is it right now? It costs 20 mana now, and a charge. Back then it costed a charge and 130 mana.
your tower, and that's pretty much it. Try to use it in a team fight, and you're just going to end up swapping yourself into their whole team. B tier. Evelyn. Her Q was pretty similar, and her W was a movement speed buff, and her E did damage and gave her attack speed. Her ult made spikes come up out of the ground in a circle, and she gained a shield that increased with the amount of enemies you hit, but that's not what we're here for. Evelyn's stealth used to be permanent until she used an ability. This allowed you to buy multiple Sunfire capes and run around doing damage to people while being completely invisible the whole time. S tier. Swain's old Q was
I'm gonna be honest, people always say this shit was broken, but if this got, like, if we just put players from today, back then, this would be the most useless shit ever. Because you just place a pink ward, which was like 50 gold, 70 gold back then, it reveals her, and now what? Now you have Tank Evelyn, which probably just gets fucking insta-killed by any of those older champs. People always overreact about this build, but they fail to realize people back then were really trash. Like, back then you could reveal Akali Shroud with a pink ward, and people still weren't doing it. So imagine Evelyn.
doing damage to people while being
Why not just choose a feel?
completely invisible the whole time.
I don't want to play support and jungle every game.
S tier. Swain's old Q was a tether where his bird shot out a laser beam. His W was pretty similar, except it snared anyone.
Look, I'm 2-0 on top. I played Kayle and
His E was a damage over time spell that amplified the
And
damage
Camel.
each time you did damage while it was active. His ult was pretty similar, except instead of turning into a demon, he transformed into an actual bird. Oh, and in the champion
What a
spotlight,
garbage
his
champ.
picture is Karthus. B tier. Aurelia's old Q was relatively similar, except she didn't stack her passive each time she used it. You would still get the reset.
God, old Irelia was even more obnoxious. I can't tell if the old or the new Irelia is more obnoxious. Old Irelia E was the most unfun spell in the game. How long did that fucking stun last? It was like a 2-second stun, by the way. A point and click 2-second stun if she was lower HP than you. And if you were both 100 HP, it would stun you. So every single lane, what they would do, they start E, they walk up to you, E, auto, you're already like half HP, and there's nothing you can do if you're a melee champ.
Though. Instead, her passive gave her increased tenacity the more enemies that she had around her. She had an entirely different W called Hit and Style, and that gave her passive lifesteal, and you can activate it to do true damage. Her E was a pretty unique ability actually. It would slow if you had more health than your enemy, and it would stun if you had less health. But then her ultimate was just Gwen ult. Strong, but kinda boring.
Oh, it was
C tier.
literally Gwen ult.
Akali had a really insane amount of mobility for a champion in Season 1. She was also one of the few champions
Freak
that could go
Akali.
hybrid, and that is as in AP and AD at the same time, which isn't really something that you see in Modern League. Her Q threw a mark that could be detonated for extra damage. Her W was still a shroud, although it looked a little bit different. Her E was an AoE slash, and her ultimate was her dash. You got 3 charges of this dash, and it was actually really fun to use, even though it was point and click. I'm not too sure if this is an unpopular opinion, but I do actually miss this version of Akali, even if she had a bit less skill.
New Akali clears old Akali. Old Akali point and click adventure. It literally had 0 skill. The only skill Akali could express is dodging with her W.
Master Yi hasn't changed that much at all over the years, but there is one main difference. His abilities used to also scale with AP, which meant that you could rush Death Cap on him, and it was kinda viable. In fact, there's even clips of it being pulled out in pro
Ollie.
play.
Clears the gap. There's the Nuno ult. Managed to get the full channel
And
on
now
that one.
Genji's
And
here as
now
well.
Edge with the Zoni's Argos out on the edge of the fight. One more Alpha Strike. He can get another triple here. That is one.
Oh, the Master
That's
Yi
reset.
Penta.
That's a triple. That's a quadra. And the chase. Penta kill. Penta kill.
Even though it was annoying to play against, this was one of the most fun builds to play in early league. S tier. Caitlyn's the exact same, except for some reason she's
It was fun because people didn't buy MR.
wearing a giant purple top hat, F tier. Maokai's
God, old
Kate
Kate is so ugly.
Except for some reason she's wearing a giant purple.
Literally looks like a fucking character from like a game you would see on like a suspicious site, and like literally just imagine this character and you will come playing this game.
Top hat, F tier. Maokai's R used to create a giant circle on the ground, and everyone on your team inside the circle would take reduced damage. You could then reactivate it to deal damage based on how much damage was reduced. Pretty interesting idea, but it was a bit awkward to use in solo queue. His Q, W, and E were basically the same. C tier. Udyr in Season 1 looked a lot different. His Q, W, and E were somewhat similar, but his R just sort of shot flames out in a circle around him. Maxing R was probably the most common way to build him, but you could also opt for a Q max and start with something like Elixir of Fortitude, which was an old item that gave you bonus AD and health when you popped it, and you could use this to try and cheese first blood.
I see, what do you call it here? Boom, I hit her, boom, slap her across the back, the side, neck, boom, hit her one more time. And there you go. I failed. I shouldn't have done that. I had that under control.
B tier. Kayle's Q used to be a point and click, her W was still a heal, and her E gave her AoE ranged attacks. She was still a strong late game champion because of her ult, but she was more balanced throughout the game stages rather than her late game being god tier and her early game just being piss. D tier. Season 1 Poppy is too old to even have an official champion spotlight from Riot, so here's one that I found from some German guy 13 years ago. Thanks. Poppy's old passive made her take less damage the lower that she got on health, and this effect was actually really noticeable, especially
Old
in
League is
extended
so
fights.
ugly,
Her Q
bro.
was a low cooldown auto attack reset, her W buffed her speed, damage, and armor. Her E was pretty
Why only free roll on the wheel? Me.
similar. It was just a charge that would stun on impact with terrain. But her R was something else entirely. You would cast her ult on someone and it would make you immune to all other damage that didn't come from that person. And this includes towers. I think I literally have season
I bought
1
Chromas for
PTSD
wing,
from
either
Poppy
wing Kayle.
selecting me with her ult and subsequently running through my entire team and fucking me. She also had one of the most cursed
What the fuck did he just say?
looking skins to ever be created in League of Legends history. S tier. Orianna has had the exact same champion design since Season 1, and she's still managed to be a staple in both solo queue and competitive play alike for the last 14 years. If that's not a sign of good champion design, then I honestly don't know what is. F tier. Heimerdinger, one of the main characters of Arcane, the critically acclaimed League of Legends series. His abilities have always
I think this might be the most ugly champion in the game ever, period. Like, I think like a beta Janna was more pretty than all the Heimer, man.
remained relevant.
Even the Urgot I would take. Like, it looks like a fucking, like an alien from a shitty 1998 movie, man. Back when CGI was absolute trash, it looks like a fucking homunculus, bro.
relatively similar. His Q places down a turret, his W still used to shoot. These have always remained
Oh my god, look at this,
relatively
bro.
similar. His Q
He has 500 mana,
places down a
EQW, 300 mana gone. For EQW, by the way, 300 mana.
turret, his W still used to shoot.
Jesus Christ,
missiles,
man.
But they randomly locked onto enemies instead of being a skill shot. His E was a grenade that stunned, and his R would upgrade all of his abilities at once rather than just one. Pretty straightforward stuff, but I'm not sure Arcane would have seen the same success if Heimerdinger still looked like this.
Get it out of my
Tristana
screen, man.
was one of the original 16 champions that released with the game when you installed the League of Legends CD. She also had the benefit of having a free skin, which you could get for free if you followed Riot on their social media accounts, and I only just found out while making this video that you can't get it anymore, which makes me kind of sad. Her Q was an attack speed buff, that's literally it. Her W was her jump, and her E was a damage over time instead of the bomb that she has now, and her ult was the same. The big difference here is that building her AP was actually a viable option.
Bro, anytime I see Tristana, I'm reminded of that cursed old school league clip. There was this like pro player, I forgot his name, and he was streaming some AD carry gameplay or whatever, or mid lane. I think he played mid or AD carry, and he thought he was done streaming, and he forgot to turn off his stream. The second he ended the stream, he opens Rule 34, proceeds to look up the most low effort Tristana, like, oh, we are talking all Tristana, the Tristana with fucking blue face. He looks up not safe for work artwork for her and proceeds to milk it to it. It was out of all League characters, even old school, old Tristana is the one you milk it to. Like, man. Fucking crazy. Yeah, the Nico player did the same. Bro, a Polish streamer called Nervarian just proceeded to strip down and show his ass on camera as well. That feeling when no Goblin GF. Real.
scalings and AP scalings. That, combined with Deathfire Grasp being an item, let her pretty easily one-shot someone with a full combo. A tier. Ryze is mostly known for being one of the hardest champions to balance in League, and going through about 6 reworks since his release in 2000.
Yeah, this video sucks. This guy's overreacting about every champion.